Well, good afternoon and welcome to Partickhill Station. I hope you can hear me. Mark, could you give me a heads up if you're hearing me at this point? Is there anybody else out there who might be able to give me a heads up regarding the audio? Anybody out there in YouTube? Okay, let's try this. Hopefully you can hear me. Sound and pictures. Okay, that's great. And Digger Evans, welcome. And thanks, Mark. I really appreciate that. Anyway, as I said, well, I've got a bit of an echo somewhere here. Okay, I've got a bit of an echo problem. Let's just give me 2 seconds to get that straightened out. Well, hopefully that's taken care of the echo. I'll explain what happened there. I was just checking to see if the video was working on, oh, hang on a second, I got a problem here. Another problem. Anyway, I was checking in the other room to see if the video was coming through, and I had YouTube on. So what was happening was I was getting feedback from the other room, which is a bit of a pain. And I've been scurrying around trying to find the appropriate earphones. So you might still get a little bit of an echo at the moment, but I'll try and fix that as we go along here. Not sure what's going to work. Anyway, if there's any new visitors, Clive Cobold, how are you? Boxcar Jerry again, good to see you back here. I hope there's something of interest for you. So, I've been doing a couple of things here. Let me just try and get rid of this noise. So I've been doing a couple of things here around the layout to try and improve it, and the one thing I did was, in an effort to try and improve the video, I bought an Elgato unit, and when I received it, opened it up, tried to figure out how it would work, and that was a bit of an issue because it was not what I was expecting. I thought I was going to be able to use it to plug in a couple of additional cameras, and that hasn't worked out. So let me just see here what I can get going. So I checked it out, as I said, and yeah, the problem was that Elgato, if you're not familiar with it, it's like an 8M Mini, which is more expensive. And I thought, because I've had sort of ongoing challenges, I would I would try and get something that would help me resolve the problem with multiple cameras, but it wasn't to be, so I'm returning it to Amazon, and we can do that. I communicated with them yesterday and gave them an explanation as to what was going on and why I wasn't happy with it. So I'm just going to see if I can show you. So there's the Elgato Stream Deck Mini. Anyway, just working away at trying to kill that echo. So that was that. It was done, and in the meantime, I had been working through trying to find another solution to the running or another solution to the videos, the cameras, and how that's all impacting on everything. What I found was, and you guys probably know this, you can go in and open up a second session of StreamYard and attach another camera. So what that does is it gives you that ability, excuse me, in my case, on my laptop here, to plug two webcams in, and that's what I've done. I've got the Brio filming, as well as a new Logitech 920, and the Logitech 920 is the one where the West Highland Railway is passing right now, and that's Cam 2. So I hope that comes across good for you. So the Brio is the one that's filming under Cam 1, and I'm just going to see if I can turn around a little bit, give it a better view. And you know, Cam 3 is my iPhone. So now that I've got 3 working, that's a big leap forward, and I'm quite happy about that. And let's see what's going on here. Everybody's saying hello, it's hot, humid, and looking like rain. Yeah, Jerry, it's been hot, humid, and we had big thunderstorms here around Toronto last night with lots of rain. So I know what you're going through, and potentially there could be more rain today. Yeah, so I rejigged StreamYard, and I'm much happier with it now. I wish I had known about this a long time ago. And another thing I did was kind of simple but long overdue. I've built this shelf here, and I've moved this unit off the top, and I just think this is a bit warm. It's working, and that helps me clear this area for the most part. And I'm going to be trying to use one of these little units here. Yeah, one of those to help drive one of the tracks. Anyway, another thing, you may have seen my efforts to make the telegraph poles, and you know, I used skewer sticks for the poles and matchsticks for the horizontal members, and then I chopped up little bits of evergreen model, plastic model solid round, and I put them on, so that looks quite effective, and it kind of depict the latter part of steam when they were maybe changing out telegraph poles and some of the isolators had fallen off or disappeared. Now, I'm having a little bit of a problem here with this other line, but I just want you to see these Caledonian Railway coaches. They're beautiful looking. Now this kind of yellow coloured one, I'm not sure if that's just the plastic weathering through time, or they had actually used that colour of plastic, because you can see the difference here clearly. And that one's sparkling. And then, you know, you move around and it changes, and here's a grey roof one. And then there's another different coloured grey roof. So I'm not really sure what these changes were or how and when they occurred, but I can look up and find out. And then there's this LMS nice coach, and then another Caledonian Railways here. So, you know, all in all, it's a beautiful set. And the thing is that, tragically, as I say, the Caledonian 123, the one that I sold because I couldn't get it to run smoothly, it would have been pulling these. And, you know, I had them up for sale at the same time as a local, and let me just see here. Yeah. Anyway, as I say, I had them up for sale at the same time as the local, but nobody showed any interest in them. I'm just going to put it out there. If anybody out there has got an interest in those coaches, just let me know and we'll work something out. So, what else is new around here? You know, I'm still jigging the track in spots. I get some locals hesitating. I'm not sure why. Now, I've got a bit of an issue here with this one locomotive here, and I'm not sure why it's not doing it. So, it was moving there. As usual, it's one coach that's not completely on the tracks. Anyway, you can see both of them running now. Gives it a different flavour. Well, yeah, Mark, it's really interesting that some of those old catalogues were all hand painted by commercial artists. I would imagine that would have been a great job for me. And you know, it must have been just after the issue of that 8th catalogue, the 8th edition, was the change. I think I'll need to lay them all out and see exactly when that occurred. But as soon as they opened up, I thought, wow, these aren't models. And I don't know why that would have been. One would have thought that taking photographs might have been cheaper than getting a commercial artist to do all those paintings. And it would have, it would have taken an amount of time to try and get them all finished for publication. So, yeah, that would be an interesting question for Hornby as to why they had gone through that. I'm going to try and change this local and get something else to pull it and see if it makes any difference. Just bear with me for a second while I get it. Yeah. So I was over at George's Trains the other week there. I wanted to get some structural shapes of the evergreen plastic models so that I could finish the top bracing for my bridge. And I managed to get some, so now I need to plan it out and then fabricate some braces. Then that's another project to be going on with. And there's always used buildings in their Walthers and such like that people put up there for sale. Now, there's probably no point in inquiring how much they are, because then you've got to look at shipping. But George's Trains has got a great selection. And I was talking to the owner, and I said to him, "Oh, Richard, I've come across this catalogue that you sold for 25 cents back in 1960 or whatever." He said, "Oh, really?" He said, "I'd like to see that, so I'll take it over." Now, as I said, it seems to be an autograph on it, and it might be Kuno. I'm not 100% sure. Anyway, who else is here? Yeah, I said hi to Clive and Jerry and Digger. Yeah, you can never really be too sure who's coming on, depending on the time of day and who's working, who's not working, etc. And if you've been given enough time to watch this and then jump over to Jenny and Zoe. We've got 3 grandkids here all week, so I've been able to get downstairs here to the basement and do this before I have to go back and continue my grandfather obligations, as you might say. I don't bring them down here too much because they've got itchy fingers, if you know what I mean. So I'm assuming that it's still pretty warm over in the UK, although you did have rain. I saw that in some of the soccer games I was watching, or football games. Maybe that brings a bit of relief to some parts of the country. Yeah, so the cameras are working out fine. I'm glad I've done this. Picked up that second Logitech. On my laptop here, I have a Zmuiping. It's called ZMUIPNG, and it's a hub with a number of receptacles on it. USB ports, a power port, and it looks as if I'm going to be dropping off here. Just hang on a second. Yeah, I'm glad I just looked at that there, because I was charging everything earlier to make sure I didn't run into any problems. And then I just noticed that that one was running low. Now this clipper here is it's beginning to warm up a bit. I may end up having to shut this down. In fact, I think I'll just do that now. Because it's smelling a little bit too. Mystic Railroad. Oh yes. Good afternoon. I'm trying to remember where you're located. Mystic Railroad, did that not come up in the chat line yesterday? Maybe with Alan Reynolds, and you were down in the East Coast. Just remind me, yeah, Mystic Railroad, yeah, you're somewhere in the States, Rhode Island, I think it was. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'll need to do a sort of an emergency turnaround here, because this old clipper I've got is getting pretty hot and it's smelling a little bit, so I'm going to see if I can change something up. Yeah, there's always something on the railroad requiring attention. And the only reason I put it on today was because I ran into an issue with my Tech 2 controller, but I'm going to try it again here. Otherwise we'll be down to one track. So just watch the train go around for the moment. Now, in the course of trying to tidy up here, I've moved my trusty screwdriver. I've just found it. So for Jerry's benefit, the green and cream set that you may have seen running there is the ScotRail West Highland Railway set that ran from Fort William over to the Kyle of Lochalsh, and that takes you over McAlpine's Viaduct, which was featured in the Harry Potter movies. Yeah, you can see them now, just going by there. So those coaches, these particular ones, as many of you know, are they're Lima Coaches, which I purchased from another enthusiast. He had painted them, put all the transfers on, put a couple of passengers in, renumbered them, and did a beautiful job. But they were withdrawn back in the 1960s or early 70s, I believe. And I'm not sure why, and I'm not sure what was done with them, but they're beautiful looking coaches, and it's just a pity that they're not running them today. They run British Rail composite Mark 1 type coaches on that line, and I believe you can actually get the train from Glasgow Central, and it will take you all the way up there. You may have to change at Fort William and then over to the Kyle of Lochalsh, and it's a spectacular journey. And you know, if you timed it right, you could take the ferry over to the Isle of Skye. But they now have a little humpback bridge that you could drive over with. So I was watching, yeah, the Lima stuff is really nice. But once again, it's like everything else. It's making sure that it all matches up properly. You know, if you've got the right type of hook, what size is that D-bar, etc., etc. And I've run into a few problems myself with different wagons, different locomotives. The LMS Royal Scots Fusilier 460 that I was running, I think that's a mainline. Actually, it's an airfix. And generally it runs okay, but it's got a different type of connector, different hook, and sometimes that's a bit problematic. And then of course you get into wheels, and that's a whole different other subject, and I'll touch on it just for a second here. should be able to see this up there. Okay, so this is an old triang, and let's see this. Yeah. Now, if you watch Champs 1, 2, 3, John's Amazing Trades, John talks about these wheels, the wheel sets that Triang have, and he goes through the process of changing out the likes of that wagon that I showed you there. See what is it? The M13 127 20 ton R110 and R212 it's called. Anyway, so he had to find specific diameter wheels so they don't run over the little bits that keep the track on sleeper boxes there. They would just run over the top and not run very well and make a lot of noise. So when he did the exchange on the car transporter, somebody had said, "Oh, I got a new car transporter." I think yesterday on Alan Reynolds' show. Now, you might, whoever that was, I can't remember, but you might want to watch. Charlie, your accent reminds me of Digger's accent. You guys live. Well, John, I presently live in Toronto. I was born and raised in Glasgow, Scotland. Now, Digger, I think, is somewhere around about Nottingham. Correct me if I'm wrong and excuse me if I am wrong. But he's down sort of Midlands area, whatever. I'm putting my neck on the line here. But really different accent from mine. But yeah, so you're in New Orleans. It's a place I've never been. But I've driven through Rhode Island. I've been down that area numerous times. Went to the Outer Banks. Went to Connecticut, Vermont. All these nice places down there. Wherever I went, I'd always find something of interest with the American Civil War. So always something to see and do. Nice part of the country. Anyway, so getting back to Champs 1, 2, 3. So John suggested, because it was difficult to find particular diameter wheels, I'm not going to say, I think it was 14.7, one diameter that you mentioned. But you should watch the video. And what he ended up saying was that Lilliput, the Continental manufacturer, they have the right size wheels. But at the time, they were difficult to find, or I think John said, they banged up the price because there was a demand in the UK to change out wheels. So I ended up, just like Digger, I think Digger said yesterday, he got them on Alibaba. And I think that's where I got them a few years back. So I went through the process of replacing the wheel sets on specifically the car transporters, because I have 4 or 5 of them. And then talking about wheels again, for a while I was having issues with my Hornby Lima Coaches. They were jumping through points, and I tried though I might, I just found it difficult to resolve. So I decided that I would order some Hornby ones. And I can't remember if I got them from Hattons or wherever, but I ordered, I think, 6 packs of them. So it was a bit on the expensive side. And I've started going through the process of trying to pick out those Gresleys that are problematic and replacing the wheels, because if I remember correctly, the axles on the Gresleys are those square axles and plastic wheels, of course. And if they get a little bit chipped or out around, you've got a problem. And I guess through time and wear and tear, they no longer have the correct gauge. And it's, if you're going to run them, you should put a little bit of money into it and replace those wheels. Oh yeah, John, are the wheels packed up yet? So, and just to go on again about John's amazing trains. If you live in the Nottingham area, that's where John lives. And I spoke with him about a year ago, and I'm sorry I never continued the conversation with him, but I'll try and remember to do that shortly. But he's got a huge collection, and they're all, for the most part, in pristine condition and terrific working order. He was selling them on eBay. So, if you're looking for something specific, you could look on eBay and have a look for Challenge 123 or John's Amazing Trains and see what comes up. I think I mentioned yesterday on Alan's show that John told me a lady in Niagara Falls had contacted him and said, "I'll buy that local." It was a Triang Continental, the yellow one, the long shunter, and she bought it. So I'm sure they're going like wildfire. And then I looked at one of his videos this morning, and Double O Bill, good afternoon. How's it going there in the West Lothian or Lothian area? So I watched John last night, and he was talking about the wheel sets for the dock shunters, the Class 31, the Class 37. And he said, you know, while those knurled ones, the knurled wheels sound great, he said that if you can find them on eBay, the best ones to get are the ones with the plastic cog. He said that those are the right diameter wheels and it will cure all your problems. So I just happened to go in and have a look this morning, and I don't think there's any of that type available at the moment, but if you have a look over there in the UK, you might have better luck, and Bill would probably know about these. East Lothian. You know, Bill, when I was a wild and crazy teenager living in Glasgow, we used to go through to Dullen, or Delaine as some people would call it. We'd go to the Gunny, the dancing, and I think it was in Scott Street. I can't remember, it's eons ago. And stay overnight with some friends that we knew, and then on the Sunday morning we'd get up early and take the bus out to Dullen, to the sand dunes, a beautiful part of the world, and we'd stop in for a beer before we headed back into the city to that golf club. There's a pub before you go down, it's just off the main road. You'll probably know the one I'm talking about, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's still there. Anyway, so back to the wheel sets. So the Class 31, the Class 37, the E2000, you know, those locos, they've all got those knurled wheels with big diameter flanges on it. Now, I did buy a set for the EM2, and generally what would happen is you take your set off, send it to John, and John would send it back re-machined. But in my case, he just sent me the wheels for the cost of them, right? Rather than me pay to get them sent over there. But I should actually get in touch with him again and find out where he's at, because he was talking about heading out to Australia because he's got a sort of lifelong friend out there, another motor railway enthusiast. But you know, with COVID, and he was unwell for a little bit, and also he had lost his cell phone. That's why there was a period in there where he wasn't doing videos, nobody knew where he was, and he just sort of dropped right off. And I found his email because I'd communicated with him before, and I reached out, and yeah, he got back to me, and I said, give me a telephone number, and I called him, and that's when I found out what was going on. So yeah, it's nice to keep in touch with people. Because you know, you don't want people to think that everybody's ignoring them, or they've got no friends, or, and he lives on his own. His mother passed away a couple of years ago there. But a very interesting chap. I think it was in partnership, or he owned the company, but it's an electronics company, and he made hi-fi equipment. And he only just got back into model railways. I'm guessing maybe within the last 10 years. And during that time he accumulated that massive collection. He went on a buying spree and just about everything that he desired, right? Because if you go into his site, you'll see all these locos are laid out on a bed, and then on another bed he's got all these coaches and so on and so forth. Really interesting. So how many of you, let's see what's going on here. Got the day off, so I was start doing nothing in an hour or two. I'm very good. Excellent. So how many of you go on to Jenny and Zoe's and spend a couple of hours with them? I try to do so because there's lots of other people on there that I don't see on here. It's just nice to be in touch. And once again, Mark, congratulations, Mark, because you're going gangbusters with that channel of yours. If you look at my channel and go back in time, I think I've been hanging out here for about 9 years, or thereabouts. And I think the first video I made was the one time Joanne and I went to Hawaii and we rented a convertible. And then over the years, for different reasons, work, have to do a lot of travel at times, just busy with projects. And then I got back into doing the YouTube stuff. Every time we'd go somewhere and rent a car, I'd try and do a little critique of the car and doing my Top Gear impersonation. And then just different other stuff, art stuff, cars, and then the model railways. And it wasn't until I retired that I really began to focus on it. And remember, I was complaining to my daughter that, I've only got 15 followers, right? She said, well, Dad, you've got to focus on one topic because, and this is the logic, if you get a YouTube channel and you're interested in planes, ships, art, travel, cars, etc., anyone who goes on there looking for cars don't necessarily want to see ships or travel. So I followed that logic and I just focused on the trains. Evening, Jason at Barnabas Junction. Good evening, Jason. Long time no see or hear. I've tried to tune into your show. Sometimes I've just been a bit busy. I haven't forgotten you. I hope you're well. In fact, I hope all you guys out there in the UK are well and that you're getting by with this heat wave that you've had. When I was living in Glasgow, I always thought, if we were only 800 or 900 miles further south, it would be a great place. And I guess now you don't need to travel 800 or 900 miles down to the south of Spain to get a suntan. And that's the other thing, you've got to be careful with the sun. Over here, you see all kinds of British people getting off the plane at the airport, and Scottish people with their Harris tweed jackets on and waistcoats, and it's 85 degrees outside. And by the time they're leaving, they're like beetroots. So slap on that sunblock. Yeah, Jason, I try to do that myself. Like Barry Davis, I love watching Barry Davis. He's a wealth of knowledge, veritable cornucopia, in fact. Barry knows his stuff. Galgorm Hall. I haven't spoken to Paul for a while, and I'm sure his layout's developing rapidly. Last time I had a look, it was looking great. And he does great stuff. He's done different tutorials and quality stuff. He builds, scratch builds. He scratch built this enormous big local depot for someone he knew. It had to be maybe, I don't know, 2 feet or 3 feet long. It was just spectacular. Oh, well, that's good, Jason. I'm glad you found me. I just, in case you don't know, that's the Caledonian Railway. Oh yeah, Bill, there are your coaches that you're looking for. Send me an offer. And Bill, I don't know if you heard me earlier talking about them. You can see the different roofs that they have, and also the different colours. Some of them are pristine white, others are a kind of cream colour. Now, I'm not sure if it's because they were all originally white and they've faded to that yellow cream colour. I'm not sure. But that would be interesting to know. And as I said, I had them up for sale the same day as the 123 local. The one guy scooped a local, but I didn't get any interest in the coaches. I'm just going to pull this one in here for a second. And then we'll get something else out here. Just bear with me here. was trying to get those the Lima Class 156 out. They're very fidgety, as they would call it. Different type of hook. Yep. So here's an example, once again, of this on here. Trying to think and talk at the same time. Okay, so the that's the card transporter I spoke about, and well, now I've got. I accidentally have two on the same track. I'll fix that immediately. Yeah, so as I said, I'm sorry about the delay. That's a car transporter from Triang, and I've replaced the wheels on that, and I also followed John's instructions and replaced. Oh, sorry. So I replaced, or I installed a nut, a bolt and a washer in the bogies of the car transporter. And the reason for that, I think I explained it at an earlier time, is the original car transporter was unstable laterally, so it would rock about and lock up a bit, and the wheels weren't suitable for Pico Track 100. And John did a tutorial on how to fix that, and as you can see, it runs great. Right, so I'm going to pull this one in, and I'll get one of the Lima SBT cars out. So this is a very nice model. Just hesitating a little bit at the moment, but it's a 2-car set. Just find it difficult to get it hooked up because those, I don't know what to compare those hooks to, but they're a bit of a pain. But in general, it's a beautiful set, and I can actually say I've been on this a couple of times when I was back in Glasgow. And you know, a little bit of history in the background. Oh, Alan Reynolds, how are you? Good of you to drop by. Hey, yeah, and Alan and I were chatting yesterday, and I was thinking, yeah, you know, we should do a Zoom call. And I can arrange that if anybody's interested. You know, the odd time we can do a Zoom call, get a few people on there, and if you've got anything you want to speak about or show, we can do that. And that would be different from the likes of me standing here rabbiting on about nothing, or even you go to Zoe and Jenny, I mean, they're talking all the time as well. Meanwhile, everyone's sitting back typing. If we do a Zoom call, it doesn't take a great deal of effort. Yeah, Mark, for sure. Now, I think the best way to do this is if you sent me your email address, then I could set it all up. So to get in touch with me, it's I'm going to put this in here. Let's see. Okay, so if you write that down, and then I'll delete it, and what you can do is you can send me an email. Well, Tom Houston, good afternoon, Tom. How are you? We're just talking about Zoom calls here, Tom. So, as I say, just take note of that, and then, you know, we can get something organised. I'm just going to. There you go. Anyway, yeah, that was just an idea. You know, here's something you could do. Let's say you've got a problem with a local. Well, we can get Bill online and say, okay, Bill, what do I do about that wire or that wheel or whatever? Or somebody could come up with a suggestion, right? Or if you've got something to show, or you get a problem with a piece of track or whatever, you know. it's all about sharing, right? And that way it's a bit more interactive, rather than you typing responses on the chat line. And if you set up your computer either at your computer and the camera is the built-in camera from the computer, or you can add in an additional one when you want to show something. And Zoom now has a whole load of other features. You can do other things with it. And I'll have a look at that later, and then we'll go from there. And Mark, that's another way for you to build your layout, and if you've got challenges, you can get an immediate answer from someone who might be able to provide it. And so, you see by Partickhill station sign there. Well, I'll pull this down again. I'm just trying to get in here. That's not working. Okay, so there. So that's Kingsway Models. I built that, and there's an interior for it. Which is like so. Now, what I want to do is I want to get the underground sign up here. And what I could do, I could copy that 3D print of the Partickhill station, copy the model, and then edit the name to the underground. I'm not quite sure how I can replicate the actual signage, which I think is Johnson 2200. That's the font used by the Glasgow Subway Corporation, whatever. And I'd put that on there. That'd be a nice touch. And when you look at, just take this for a second. There's that latest tree that I did. Now, one thing I never mentioned at the time, was you can take a bunch of these flowers, tie them all up together in the trunk, and then paint the trunk, and it becomes a bigger, fuller tree. So that's another option. And I've got I bought the evergreen plastic model H-beams, which are they're columns, but they're big enough suitable for the underside supports of the bridge. Like in there, so they'll go under here like that. And then there's my telegraph pole. So that Lima is running terrific now. And what I might be doing is, well, you've seen that track, and that's the end-to-end automatic shuttle that I've got planned. And what I thought I'd do is use either that or the DMU set here, the old triangle one, and use that to go around back to the other end. So the whole idea being people got off the main line and then they could go down the subway and then got onto this commuter to take them back to the other side. Anyway, it's all in the imagination. Just something else to do. Yeah, Zoom is an easy sign up, it's not a problem. Now, I think you're allowed 40 or 45 minutes free for any one session. Now, during COVID, my wife, who is a member of a book club, they would have Zoom calls. So initially, they were all free, so you could be on there for a couple of hours, no problem. But eventually they curtailed that to 40 or 45 minutes, and all you do is you'd be dumped out and you just sign in again. Not a problem. And of course it's free at that level. Yeah, so there's a myriad of uses for it. I use it regular because rather than sit on the telephone with somebody, I'd rather just jump into Zoom and chat with them and see them and get their reaction. Yeah, Alan, I know you said it's in my email box. I checked last night, I couldn't see it. I'm not really sure where you sent it. So, you know, if you send it to the email provided there, we'll go from there. And if I get a couple of you showing interest, what I might do is I might just do a test and call somebody up, or call a couple of you up and just say, hi, how are you? Great that we've got a connection, and we would go from there. And then what we could do is we could say, all right, for everybody, what's the best time for you? And then we'll try and set a time that suits everybody, bearing in mind the 5-hour difference. Don't know if you guys are night hawks. That doesn't really affect me because, of course, I'm 5 hours behind you. Anyway, I've been on, I don't know, an hour and 3/4 or whatever, an hour and a half, whatever it is. and we've covered a fair bit. You've seen a few nice locos and coaches. I should probably sign off and let you all get on with the rest of your evening, and or jump on to Jenny's Monday Club. I've got grandfather duties today, so I need to get cracking on that. So thanks everybody for joining in, really appreciate it, and for the new guys that have shown up, I really appreciate you jumping in. I hope you saw something of interest and come back for more. I'll try and make it a regular weekly thing. And then of course, we'll just close by saying, let's do this Zoom call, and remember, give me the big thumbs up, ring that bell and subscribe, because it doesn't cost you anything. And pass the word out to all your friends that are railway or railroad enthusiasts. So take care, cheers, and we'll see you all a bit later on Zoom. Bye for now.